there, welcome to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. That's the big website that everyone's going to, ourhealthyhomes.com. Or if you're not a website guy, 651-775-9194. I'm going to talk about guys and gals here in a little bit.
Well, and I just want to make a note that I actually answer my phone.
Oh, there you go. That's, you know how you...
No, really, I'm serious. Like,
it's
a conversation that we have a lot.
I know it.
You know, we go back and forth on email, all these things, and it's just like, just pick up the phone.
People ask me, Keith Areno, how come you're so successful in real estate? I say, you know what I do? I answer my phone.
Yep.
When the phone rings, you answer it.
Yep.
Somebody on the other end wants something.
Yep.
All right. Our Healthy Homes. We talk about the 4 pillars of a healthy home. We talk about real estate, the ecosystem. That's what's going on inside the house, your body, and your mind. Those are the 4 pillars. If all those 4 pillars aren't standing strong, the roof comes tumbling down. We help people not just buy and sell a piece of property. We help them make a home, and we want them to stay healthy in that home, raise a nice, strong family. So our guest on the show today is Dr. Matthew Alvord. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Alvord maintains an office and a clinic in Eden Prairie. Creation Chiropractic. CreationChiropractic.com is the website. So when we get rolling here, can you just give them a little background about you know how you got into it, just kind of your schooling, your education, just to give the listeners a little flavor of who they're listening to?
Sure. Well, I graduated from chiropractic school in 1994, and then actually going further back, my mother worked for chiropractor for 37 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and along the way, I ended up getting a diplomate in chiropractic philosophy.
What's that mean?
It means it's another additional 4 years of education, just getting into the background of what chiropractic is and getting really into the why of things.
Okay, how many people actually do that? How many chiropractors actually go to that level?
In the world, there are just a little bit less than 100.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
so we didn't let him finish.
I know.
Oh.
I know, but I thought of something quick. So your mother, I want to get back to Mom.
Yeah.
So your mother worked for this guy for 37 years.
Yes.
All right. Is your practice similar or dissimilar to his?
Great question. It's actually quite a bit different because most chiropractors are doing some form of physical therapy. You walk in the office, the goal is to feel better. And any number of ways to do that, whether it's manipulating your spine, stretching you, putting a machine on you, using some kind of natural therapy to treat the symptom. But that's, I found out later on, even though I was intrigued enough with what was going on that I wanted to get involved with chiropractic, by the time I went to chiropractic school and really diving deeper, I realized it was actually something quite a bit different. So in my office, we practice traditional chiropractic. A lot of things are being done in chiropractic offices by chiropractors, but they're not chiropractic. So the analogy I use, you guys...
And I've seen that a lot. It's like a trend where it's like, geez, you're a chiropractor, but you're doing everything but.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't even get that gift to see the contrast. They just know what they know. We just started somebody yesterday who had been to, I think, 4 or 5 chiropractors, and they were blown away by how different what we did was. And we always like to say, we just practice chiropractic. But if you don't know what it is, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So... if you were an electrician and all you did was plumbing, and all the electricians in the area only did plumbing, you would never know electrical work.
Right.
And there would be a lot of lights going out. Right. And so that's kind of what's happened in our profession. It doesn't mean that plumbing isn't a skill or a value.
Right.
But it's not electrical work.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that people get done to feel better, but they're not necessarily better. And so in our office, one of the first things we tell people when I walk in the door after my assistant Vicky's done the orientation is hi, I'm Matt Alvord. Nice to meet you. Our goal is not to feel better. It's to be better. And people forget that along the way. It's not just about how you feel, how you act, how are you? How are you actually functioning? Because you can shut down the body pretty conveniently, and that person can have the perception that they're better, but they're oftentimes just the opposite.
So what was your journey that you got out of school, obviously? And then where did you go work for someone else for a time? Or
I did for about a year or so.
Okay.
Just enough to get an idea that I wanted to do it on my own.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it goes for a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Right.
Yeah. So that was down in New Ulm, and then I moved up here and then bought an office here in Eden Prairie in 97.
Can I go down a rabbit hole for a minute?
I love rabbit holes.
So I'm on your website and I'm looking at your services and so I drop down the services and you got the juveniles, the children, and all that. I see this one for seniors. I think it is said services for seniors, and
That
so
would be you.
and so that well
Does she love to point that out?
always. So I was watching a program. A documentary on the blue zones. You know what the blue zones are?
Yeah.
Okay, so the blue zones, so areas of the world where people live long, and they live to be, many people live to be over 100.
Healthy. Yep.
Healthy, active lifestyle. So that we have an aging population. And in fact, right now I did a little research prior to the show prep, Sheila, it's called.
Oh, that's what it's called. Okay.
There are 593,000 people in the world that are over 100.
Wait, how many?
593,000.
Over 100 years
Over
old.
100 years old. That number is
world.
expected to double in just a couple of years. It's because the rate of increase of that age bracket has doubled. Okay, so the rate of growth in that age tier has doubled.
So do you have a number on how many of those people are in those blue zones?
No,
Okay.
because this isn't
Show
about the
prep.
blue zones.
Okay, all right.
So, but I do have a number of how many of those people are in the United States.
Okay.
And there are 98,000 in the United States. The United States actually has more people over 100 than any other country.
Now that shocks me.
It doesn't shock me because
shocks me.
when I go down the list, like number 10 on the list, or no, maybe number 5 on the list is China. Well, they have 1 billion people. You would expect them to have.
Sure.
But the United States still has more people over 100 than they do. Because I'm not talking percentages, I'm talking sheer numbers. Then we go down to small countries. And some of these tiny countries are on the top 10 list.
Sure.
And their populations are so small, but they have this huge proportionally number of people that are over 100 years old.
Thailand on there?
It is. Thailand is on there. And so I was curious about the why of that, and I want to explore that a little bit with your thoughts. Japan is number 2 with 90,000 people. China has 54,000. So you look at Japan, a little island, has a lot of people jammed on it, but still it's a small island, and they're number 2. And China is this mammoth country with 1.5 billion or 2 billion people, whatever they have, and they have 54,000 people over 100 years old. Boston Medical University study reports that the rate of growth of centurions has doubled over the last 20 years, and the population will exceed 1 million in the next couple of years. So we're at about 0.2% of the population of the world is over 100 years old.
So that is the like the housing stock, the stock of the older generations have been less abused by chemicals and medications and things like that because they came from a better background, better
But
soil.
they've been living in the last 50 years in our modern society, and when they get sick, they tend to get a bunch of prescriptions dumped on them.
Well, yes and no. Because I think about that, I think, okay, they're older, right? But there's so much hitting and so much wrong with the younger generation, child obesity. Like I don't know what the numbers are, obviously, because that's not what I didn't know we were talking about it. But wouldn't you agree, Dr. Elver, that whatever that percentage is, I would say like right now, 60 years and under, people are sick.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're real off. And so a general idea with health is that if you get a poor start, you got a poor chance of coming back.
Right.
So if you start out with juvenile diabetes, you're going to have a tough road pretty much all the way out.
Right.
Versus if you talked about when these people were alive 100 years ago. I mean, we never used to even have a word called organic food. They just all ate organic. Nobody had a choice.
Nobody knew about
and then we screwed it up.
Had
and then
Talmuner on it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then we had to come up with another word for the real food again, and that was called organic.
Yeah.
So, but if you had a really good start for the first decade or 4, right? You could go off the rails with all the different things that society's doing now, but you had a much better chance because your start was so much better.
I got a lot more stuff
Yes,
on this.
yes,
This is
yes,
Our
yes.
Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. 651-775-9194. We're gonna go out and
Pay
hit the
some
meter,
bills.
hit the meter, the parking meter, and then we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. We are in the studio. We're talking about healthcare. We got into aging a little bit. We got Dr. Matthew Elvord in the studio, and we kind of got off on aging, and I'm going to stay on that track for a minute. But I want to give Sheila a chance to give a shout out to her program, Muffin Top Meltdown, because that ties into kind of aging as women get into that middle market. Middle market.
Yes. The program is ready. We're super excited. So the idea and what we talk about here on the show is it's your health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you have cared for your kids and you've let everything go, and now they're older, and now it's me time again.
Mm-hmm.
By that time you've got the belly weight. You haven't been taking care of yourself physically, mentally, all the 4 pillars, and I'm passionate about reducing and melting down that muffin top. Because I was there, right? So that's a big part of it. But the other part is that you don't have to stay in that muffin top and have that belly bloat and all that weight around the belly just because you've turned now and aged.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that stemmed from that blow up happening to me, and a Western female doctor patted me on the knee and said, "It's only 5 pounds. You're going to gain weight when you hit 50." And boy, that was the wrong thing to say to me, because I always say I bless Keith's heart for meeting me at 180 pounds and loving me at 180 pounds for who I was at that. But that right there was like, wait a minute, I didn't do this to myself. And I know that there's other women out there feel like I didn't do this to myself. I haven't sat here and ate the bonbons and done the things. It isn't just about exercise and reducing your food, right? We are toxicity overloaded. We are parasite overloaded. We need to get our sleep. We need to look at our blood sugars. There's a whole picture of what that looks like. And my team and I are super excited to help you. The program is ready. Go to ourhealthyhomes.com, click on the Muffin Top Meltdown button. You'll get a free discovery call with me for an hour. And that's just worth it in general, right? I mean, just to answer some questions and see if the program is right for you.
And the need is there. I'm not
The need
kidding
is
you.
there. Yes.
I if you don't believe it, spend a morning in a coffee shop.
I don't know if you want to talk. I know. We'll talk. I don't know if you want
Just
to talk
spend a
about that,
morning
but
in a
we got to
coffee
tell
shop
Dr. Elvord.
and see who comes in. All right, so let's get back to this life
Yep.
expectancy thing.
Yep.
So I just want to continue on this line. Of the population, 85% of them are women. 85% of
That
the
are-
they're over 100. 85% are women. Yeah, well, it's
Rock
because
on.
you don't work ever, so the men work and wear out. You
They're
guys
stressed
sat home
out.
and baked bread.
I think
Okay.
that comment's going to cost you.
I'm just kidding. But there is a reason for that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it
But
is.
it's always
just the
really
facts. I'm
kind
just
of
reporting
been like
the facts.
that. I mean, if you look back to grandparents and things like that, it's always the males, that seemed like they died first.
Yeah.
Women
well-
tend to be a little bit more self-conscious anyway,
True.
as far as health and
As
True.
far as health, they're a little bit
Yeah.
aware. And then the fact of the matter is the guys were out in the barn,
Yeah.
and they got, they didn't die because they got old. They died because a machine got a hold of them and killed them. So
guys do pride themselves on dealing with issues
yeah,
too.
yes,
They could have one leg and they'll brag that they're
Exactly.
getting through. I'm good.
The
I'm
fish
good enough.
story.
So
The
I
fish
went.
story.
I went
Okay.
on. There's a website called livingto100.com. Livingto100.com. Kind of fun. So I go there because it was a link in some article. I was actually on. What is it? What is the university in Utah? It starts with a B. Anyhow.
Berkeley.
No.
Brigham Young.
Brigham, yeah,
So
there
I
it
was
is.
on their website, read an article, and they had this website on there. So I clicked on it, and there's a calculator on there. It goes through a few pages of questions and questions and questions, and then we'll calculate based on your answers, your lifestyle,
Ooh, I don't
and
wanna
all
do
that
that.
stuff. Well, 97 I came up with.
Yeah.
97.
I'm not doing it.
All right, so the number expected to be over 600% increase. So by 2060, in 2060 I'll be 107 years old, by the way. So on your site, now I want to get back to what started me down this rabbit hole was I'm on your site and I see this thing for seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So describe to me what kind of protocols, what kind of a treatment plan, or what kind of care do you give for seniors, and how is that different than what people just kind of get old, go to the doctor, and kind of just stumble through until one day they're in the coffin?
Well, everybody needs chiropractic care.
Okay.
So we need to get past that glass ceiling right away. It's not about doing this treatment for that condition.
Okay.
It's all about you're alive, you need upkeep.
Okay.
And so
Explain to me then what chiropractic care, when you say that, because what comes to my mind is I'm going to go in and you're going to crack my back. I mean, that's what comes to my mind.
So there's a lot of different techniques.
Okay.
So you need to work out. Elderly people need to work out. 100-year-old people need to work out. But they're not going to be doing the workouts that the 20-year-olds are doing.
Right.
So we've got different techniques and
Okay.
different ways to deliver the same care, but still keep them clear and keep them functioning at their best.
So when someone comes in, do you say, oh, this person has white hair? Immediately you switch into that mode?
No, not necessarily. I mean, because quite honestly, some people who are younger have more difficulties than people who are
Yes.
older. So it can't
Yes.
just go chronological on that. But I have tables, for example, that could be easier to get on, that are high-low tables that they
Oh.
can walk up to and they raise and lower.
Okay.
I can adjust people sitting in a chair versus getting them sitting down if I need to. I've got real low-force techniques and little instruments that can adjust people. I have contacts that are so light, if you barely touch them, you can actually hold a position and get the nervous system to let go just by doing that.
Oh, wow.
So we can virtually adjust anybody. Even with those low-force techniques, I could literally make a contact right over a surgical line.
And what is the point of doing that? What is the point? What are you trying to accomplish?
Your nervous system controls and coordinates everything in your body. It's page 4 of Gray's Anatomy. Okay, so our job as a chiropractic specifically is to find interference to that system that's controlling everything.
Vagus nerve? Are we talking?
We're talking about the entire system. The
Okay.
vagus nerve is one nerve coming off and innervating the brain to the organs, but we're talking about every communication in your entire body.
Okay.
Now, how does that relate to, like I hear about the meridian points and the meridian? Does that make any sense to you, or?
That has to do more with acupuncture,
Okay.
but we're
But it's energy.
well. I mean, there's energy in this room, so
Okay.
I mean, everything is
Okay.
energy. You can break that down into something very.
There's high voltage and low voltage, and you
Yeah.
deal with high voltage.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what's fascinating is in my 30 years, I've had people say, my chakras are better since I've been coming here, right? Like, I don't know much about those.
I don't know anything
But the
about it.
beautiful thing is, if your nervous system that's controlling everything in your body is functioning better, there's nothing that's not on that table.
Yeah.
You see? So
So you would expect it to be better.
well, sure. If you started eating better, getting more sleep, you'd also probably expect, let's say, your chakras or something else to be better.
Right.
Because it's all
Energy,
going along
like
for the
whatever-
ride. Yeah, if
whatever
you
it
stop
is.
smoking, it's not just good for your lungs, it's good for your big toe,
Right.
you know?
Oh yeah. Okay. We're being told on if you spend any time reading or online or anything, there is site after site after site, all saying how Western medicine has let us down, and it's not the way to go, and we need to embrace another methodology, another mindset of how we're going about treating our people. Seems to be reinforced by actually the CDC, which I have no love affair with, but the CDC reports that life expectancy has dropped in the U.S. since 2020. It's down now to 76.4 years, which is the lowest it's been
Yep.
in 20 years.
And now, again, I just want to say, maybe, back me up. Back me up on this, Dr. Albert. Once we hit that slope of going down, we're just going to keep going down, don't you think?
Sure, because you consider that life expectancy has been going up continually. I believe for the first time ever, it's actually reducing.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the first time ever. So even though we've got all these really elderly people,
Yep.
that subpopulation is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. But if you consider, look at any curve, if something keeps going up and up and up and up, and then at some point there's a tipping point it starts going down, there's a good reason for that.
Right.
It's not a good reason, but it's going to probably, we're going to have to make some major changes to make that start going up again, because the momentum now is to continue to go down.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So we seem to have a dichotomy here between this group of people that are 100 years and older that is growing exponentially. Will be by 2060 will be 5 million people on the globe that are over 100, and millions of people that are right behind them, that are in their 80s, late 70s and 80s, and yet the average is going down. And so I have a question about that when we come back from break. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. 651-775-9194, 651-775-9194. Check out Sheila's Muffin Top Meltdown. Go to Our Healthy Homes. Click on the little pink button up in the upper right-hand corner. It'll take you to a little information page there. Fill out the form, and she'll have a chat with you, get you going in the right direction. You'll feel like $1 million. A year from now, you'll be like a different person. OurHealthyHomes.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, OurHealthyHomes.com. All right, we went out to break last time. We had this dichotomy going on between the people that are getting older and the average age going down of death. The mortality rate's coming down. The United States has a mortality rate that is lower than other high-income countries, which is shocking to me because we spend like twice as much on health care. Do you believe everything you read? Like, I mean, I don't, know where you're getting that information, but it's just really a little hard for me to believe.
Well, at some point they're going to have to stop calling it health care, because it is disease care. There's a difference.
And that is what the thing in Brigham Young said. They said that we have a sick care system that takes care of very sick people.
Yes.
And it seems like that's what it's geared up to do.
Yep.
So that's, how do we go about changing that? I mean, that's what your work is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, so what we do in our office, for example, is that people have a certain mindset because society, with that sickness mentality, I got to treat my sickness, we have to take a step backwards before we can take a step forward. Because they usually think they just need to plow forward ahead in the same direction, harder with more.
Yeah, throw more stuff at it.
Yeah,
right.
And so what we need to do is take a step back and redefine the problem and really say, what is the problem? Is your problem your condition? Is your problem your pain? And again, when dead people can't get any of those things, so as it turns out, that's an intelligent strategy. Why is your body forced to be in that state, much less for 23 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the question is not so much, I have a pain, it's, well, why do you have a pain?
Sure. And again, the oil light coming on in the car. If the oil light comes on, the problem is not the dashboard. I love to bring up analogies like that because people have already applied the correct paradigm with the rest of their life and their logic with their car. Sure.
Right.
And so if they just applied that same logic to underneath their skin to the rest of their life, they would make better health decisions. Because, if you took your car into the auto mechanic and you disconnect your oil light, I tell people you'd call the Better Business Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when you go to a therapist who just treats the symptom without getting to the cause, we thank them because
they turn the light off.
We have a poorer perception of our body than a car, and the double edge, or the thing that puts it over the edge, is that we only get one of these automobiles. We only get one of these chassis called a body.
Right.
We have a chance to if we screw up a car, we can always go to the next car.
Do you prescribe then for someone comes in and you perform a procedure on them, and they are walking out the door? Do they walk out the door with a like a little sheet or something that says, "Here, now do this"?
No.
To instruct them on how to help themselves in between.
I don't. When I first started practicing, I did that. I learned real quick that most people don't want to change.
Okay.
A real nice thing about getting chiropractic care is that all they have to do is lay on the table and they'll get the fruits and benefits of doing that. Okay? Where at least you show up at the gym. You're doing it for them. Yeah, if you show up at the gym, they haven't even started yet. Right. Versus all they have to do is lay on the table. It's relatively passive care. They just have to show up. Now, when it comes to lifestyle stuff, Sheila, I'm sure you're aware of this. I had a professor in school who said, never assume somebody wants to get better. Because people will ask me for advice, which is great, and then I will give it to them.
Yeah.
But I usually don't offer it before that. And even if they ask me for advice and I go, how committed are you to doing that? Because my advice will probably get you there. But what I don't want to do is a month from now find out they haven't changed a thing, and now they've got the unchanged habit and the guilt on top of it because they haven't changed anything.
Yeah.
So I feel them out.
Yeah, and you need to, because, the society is give me the medication, give me the quick fix, and so I don't have to do anything because I can rely on that medication to reduce my blood sugar. I can rely on that medicine for my blood pressure. Like, I can rely on the Advil to take care of my pain, and I don't have to do anything. And so it is hard for people, because I think deep down people know, A, they have to change, but D, it isn't going to be a short road.
One of my favorite sayings is choose your hard, because changing your lifestyle is hard, but chronic disease is harder.
I agree with you, except I don't think that changing your lifestyle is really that hard. I mean, when you stop to think about it, if you really go back, I mean, we go to our 4 pillars. What are you talking about? Good water, good food, clean air.
Good nerve supply.
Pardon?
Good nerve supply.
Good nerves. I mean, it gets back to like the fundamentals. Okay, then you're going to do some, like your car. Let's do some basic maintenance, because you would never think of buying a car and just driving it until the engine crapped out.
Yeah, and it's based off a schedule, not knocking
off
the engine.
Schedule, right?
Yes.
So then, every spring we have a car. We drive for a living, so our cars get a lot of miles on them. Sheila's got 250,000 miles on her car. She wants to get another 100,000 on it. That car goes in and gets oil changed 2 or 3 times a year. So I mean you maintain that engine, you maintain that vehicle or your body, and it'll last a very long time.
But people are just in such a rut, I think. It's too overwhelming to change. I mean, I look at just the people that I work with to change the toxicity level of their products that they're using in their home. It is so overwhelming to people to change out soap, deodorant, toothpaste, laundry detergent. These are like basic things that you're buying, and this is overwhelming to people.
And it's either by product A or product B. It's not like it's rocket science.
One of the things people can do is that if they are overwhelmed, and quite honestly, by definition, with chronic disease, they're overwhelmed before they even think of changing anything, is to add good stuff before they start trying to remove bad things. So part of the psychology is, if you're going to have them take away things to get healthier, those things aren't there by accident.
No.
And they love every one of them. They love their donuts or whatever.
Right.
So I tell people, listen, if you want to make changes, let's not even address the donuts right now. Let's have the donuts with more water. Let's have the donuts with walking around the block. So we'll add more things to that. Listen,
can I eat 2 donuts then?
Sure, and 2 donuts is better than 3.
Yes, that's right.
So even if they just do this, which is, again, as a chiropractor, all they have to do is start getting chiropractic care, and their brain will function better. Their whole body will become more adaptable. And now they might even entertain a conversation of making other changes in 2 or 3 months that they would never have done the first day they were in my office, just by beginning care.
I have 2 questions. Question number 1 is, how soon would a person begin chiropractic care if they're serious about doing a maintenance thing?
The criteria for chiropractic care, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Living vertebrates. So if you're alive and have a spine, you need to go to a chiropractor. Who needs to go to a dentist? If you have teeth. Now the key is, I say the dentists have something over us. If you don't have teeth, you still need to go.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the criteria for, a child going to a dentist? They need to go when they're 3 or 4 or whatever.
Right.
But as a chiropractor, we check babies right out of the gate. About half of all the infants I check need a first adjustment. But I've never in 30 years ever checked anybody toddler age or older who did not need an adjustment. Oh. And if that person's on plan B from that time frame, another way to look at aging is doing the wrong thing over just a longer period of time. So a lot of things aren't true aging. It's the fact that you've been off the rails for so long, and now that's associated with your age versus just being, having nerve interference for that long or having your lifestyle off for that long.
So let's go back to like the toddlers and whatnot. Since the technology era, right? What's that? The neck thing they're calling it, like
Atlas,
the thing that's sticking out now because everybody's like this all the time.
Oh, text neck?
Yeah, text neck. Yeah.
Okay.
So, of course, that makes sense to me with kids especially now because I feel like the sports are tougher on the kids. And then you've got all the technology and the fingers and the neck and I don't know. I just think that those two things alone are a big enough damaging reason.
The elephant in the room before that is that an acceptable tractional force to deliver a baby in a medical facility is roughly 10 times the weight of the baby. So if a baby weighs 8 pounds, an acceptable tractional force to pull that baby out is 80 pounds of weight on that infant's neck.
Wow.
That's considered normal. And as we all know, there are different people where they break a clavicle or they end up getting neck damage. But if that's happening in a normal delivery, as a chiropractor, we use such tiny little forces to adjust a baby. Perspective-wise, we use less force to adjust a baby than it takes for the mother to take that baby out of the carrier to go on my table. And yet, that kind of tractional force on the vast majority of births in this country are setting the stage before they ever do sports, before they ever hold a cell phone in their hand. So that's just insult to injury. The original injury is just the abnormal force on what's considered normal delivery.
Which is why, according to the CDC, now that makes sense because they say that the United States has a higher infant mortality rate than any other country. And they have a higher maternal death rate than any other country. Well, when you're, jerking 80 pounds or 90 pounds on a baby trying to drag him out, yeah, probably cause some damage there that results in some bad situations. This is Our Healthy Homes. We'll come back after these messages. OurHealthyHomes.com. OurHealthyHomes.com. Okay, so I asked in the last segment, what would be a good time to start chiropractic care? And you said essentially out of the womb. Okay, so I'm a little behind the curve. I'm a little late. I've been out for, let's just say I've been out for a while. So, and I feel fabulous, literally all the time. And I tell Sheila all the time, I feel guilty because I feel so good all the time. So if I was to, what would make me want to, or what would be an encouragement for me to seek out chiropractic care, number one? And number two, how is it going to am I going to feel anything differently, or how am I going to know if I just wasted some money and some time, or if I'm actually getting a benefit? How would I know that?
In my office, we emphasize getting checked, okay? And so versus over getting adjusted. So why would you get adjusted if you didn't know you needed an adjustment?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if you felt great and you never checked your cholesterol, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
But if you checked your cholesterol and it was awful, but you still felt great,
yeah.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Do you have an action step?
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you don't appreciate the value of that test regardless of how you feel.
Right.
It's the same thing for getting checked by a chiropractor.
Okay. So then, to go with your analogy, okay, so then I get checked for cholesterol, and they say, holy buckets, your cholesterol is really high. We have to do something here. Take these statins, or do this or change your diet or whatever it is, and my cholesterol comes down, and I don't feel any different at all. Pretty soon I'm going to say, who cares?
The dichotomy, the fork in the road, is something needs to get done. The problem is that everybody's going to the doctor to make them healthy versus this. So in other words, this cholesterol needs to come down. Okay, as we can all imagine, there's unhealthy ways to do that and healthy ways to do it. Let's come back to the car analogy. If the oil light comes on, there's a healthy way to take care of that and an unhealthy way. The healthy way is to change the oil. The unhealthy way is to disconnect the oil light.
Right.
And yet the pharmaceutical companies love to show how well disconnecting the oil light makes the dashboard look better.
Yes.
So you got to be careful of, again, how we define the problem. You see, because people will do that. They will have an action step. But the key is, what is that action step?
Okay.
Because taking action step, as a chiropractor, we like to joke. We'll have our own jokes among ourselves.
Yeah, you're like your own attorney joke.
Yeah, we say, listen, the guillotine has a 100% success rate at getting rid of headaches.
It's so true.
So you can't argue with that research. It's 100%.
Right.
But you don't necessarily want to go down that route.
Right.
All right. So the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. So if I'm going to go in, I don't change my oil once a month. I don't change my oil once a week. So how often do I change my oil in terms of a maintenance thing through chiropractic?
As a chiropractor, your body determines the care, and your body determines when you need the care. So guess what comes up with the care plan in my office? It's not me.
Okay.
Your body does. So people need to get in, and then we want to check them as much as we can at first to get an idea how often they need care, because after an initial series of checks and getting adjusted, I will check them and they won't need an adjustment. Mm-hmm. So again, the checking determines the care, not only what I do, but when I do it. So your body walks its own care out. I like to say I'm facilitating your physiology. Okay, your body tells me what to do. Our relationship in my office works this way. You trust me, and I trust the intelligence running your body. So your body determines all that.
And so then the frequency is different from person to person.
Sure. I might check a baby who needs one right off the block, and if that baby is the youngest of 3 kids, it may not need another adjustment for 10 months. Conversely, if I start an adult, adults oftentimes need daily adjustments for a half a week or more before they're ready for even every other day, and they might sit at every other day for months before they're even ready for twice a week.
Why is the youngest of 3 kids matter?
Because that baby is coming in with a whole entourage of children. They're the caboose, so the whole family's coming in for regular care.
All right.
And they're all getting them at different frequencies. Typically, the parents need them the most, the kids less, and the baby even less. But if I'm checking that whole family regularly, we might find out in hindsight of checking that whole family weekly that baby is getting checked and it's clear and it's not needing one. It's not needing one. And at some point down the road, let's say 10 months or 6 months or something that way, then in hindsight, we can get this idea that, boy, this baby's holding its adjustment. It only needs one or two adjustments a year to start.
So if I'm getting checked regularly and adjusted when needed, and my information freeway is running well, then wouldn't like Sheila's Muffin Top Meltdown program work better?
Yes.
For that person?
Because at the end of the day, your nervous system controls and coordinates everything in the body. Basically, from your brain to your big toe and everything in between, and that's organ function. Okay, we know, for example, that when people get chiropractic care, within a half an hour to an hour after getting adjusted, their blood chemistry changes and improves.
Oh, interesting.
How's that possible? Because where does blood come from? Blood comes from these chemical factories called organs. Well, those organs hang off like puppeteer strings off your spine. So if they're imbalanced and something's producing too much and something else is producing too little, that's reflected in the blood chemistry. So as that balances with that better nerve communication, all of a sudden now that gets reflected in the better balance in the organ function and in the chemistry.
So we talked about cholesterol, for example. Mm-hmm. Then have you seen positive results with people's cholesterol level as a result of having chiropractic?
Or anything else?
Yeah, we don't actually check that.
No, I realize that, but he's going off or she's going off and having it checked, and it's like, okay, I wasn't getting chiropractic care. My cholesterol is 250. Now it's 210.
No, I have not seen research with that in chiropractic.
Okay.
What's a really cool research study, just because an overarch with blood work, they did a study with thiol levels. I don't know if you've heard of thiols. They're
what
related. It's certain chemicals that are related with DNA repair. So when the body's healing itself on a DNA level, okay, on a genetic level, thiol levels will be increased. And it's been shown that when people get chiropractic adjustments, their thiol levels increase to show that they're down to their DNA level, their body's healing.
Okay, so how does this... I'm curious if there is a connection then between chiropractic care, we'll just say having the nervous system operating well, and people using products like Sheila promotes, essential oils and the natural organics and light therapy and all of that stuff. How are those things all interconnected, and how can that become part of our overall wellness program so that we don't just become a country or a nation like we have of masking symptoms?
A lot of it has to do with momentum. So if you do one good thing and you continue it, there's momentum happening in your body. But if you do one good thing and then you do another different thing that's good, they'll piggyback on each other. So you'll get momentum involved with that. So if you start working out, there's momentum to that, and then the longer you do that. But if you start working out and also stop smoking, that piggybacks and they accelerate each other.
And we talk about working out, really, it's movement. Just move your body. However you want to do it. Some people are going to lift weights. Some people are going to run on a treadmill. Some people are going to walk around the block. Just move your body. Do you give classes or hold classes anywhere where people can come and learn about this?
No, because we really just want to be a master of one thing in my office. And I'll give this advice if people ask for it. But we want to be a master of one thing. Because most chiropractors, ironically, aren't practicing chiropractic, that's what we want to focus on.
Okay.
So I just concentrate primarily on educating people, first of all, on how their body works and how we specifically allow their body to function better that nothing else can do for them. Okay. And then if we get in these particulars, if they have other challenges, whatever, they can ask me or if I can help accent stuff. But we don't want to spend too much time on that because the elephant in the road really is the body's ability to communicate with itself, and then a society who doesn't even recognize that dynamic. So I have a lot of work to do just by concentrating on that one thing.
And by checking, we've talked, you mentioned that a lot. People just come into the office and they get on the table and you just check them and they're there for 5 minutes and they could be gone because they don't need any kind of adjustment.
I'll have any number of people that I'm going to go back to the office today and this morning who didn't need an adjustment.
And what about just like overall stiffness and, people complain that they're stiff and all that stuff? Is that part of that whole thing?
Yeah, so a perception of the problem is interesting, right? Our experience. We want to feel better, but as long as it's for the right reason, that's okay. For example, if somebody stepped on your foot, how should that feel through open nerve channels that are working properly?
Yeah, it should hurt.
It should hurt. Now, if somebody stepped on your foot and it didn't hurt,
that's a problem.
That's a better experience, but it is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So which would you prefer?
Yeah, I prefer it to hurt.
So once you understand what that actually means, you don't necessarily want pain relief. There's a famous chiropractor who used to say, if we're going for pain relief, the healthiest people are in the graveyards.
Yeah, right. Because they have no pain at all.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we have a minute left, Sheila. Okay. I just want you to give another description for people who have just joined us of the Muffin Top Meltdown program.
Yes, so the program basically is you start with a free discovery call to see if the program is right for you, if I want to work with you and you want to work with me, and through that there's exploratory questions and things like that, and then once you get started we have the training, the videos, the support to move you through that. We talked about it a little bit earlier. It isn't typically just one thing. It's three things. Typically, you're like with the chiropractor, your pain could show up here, but the problem is really in
somewhere
the back,
else.
not on
Sure.
the finger, right? So it's that kind of thing. And then, people hear inflammation. Inflammation is huge. The inflammation in the body can cause all sorts of other problems in the body. But you made a comment, Keith, that when we went out to break last time, a year from now, you're going to be a different person. It does take time.
Yeah.
So you need to
not
work
a quick
on it.
fix.
Right?
If you're looking for a quick fix,
right. It's not a quick fix.
Use cocaine.
Right.
This is Our Healthy Homes.
Right.
OurHealthyHomes.com. OurHealthyHomes.com. Go to CreationChiropractic.com. Just check it out. CreationChiropractic.com. You'll feel better for it.
But when he calls me sugar, I love that man with all my might. Sugar in the morning, sugar in the afternoon. Sugar after dinner, sugar in every room. He says When he calls me that name, it does things to me. I tell him, honey, you can call me sugar.